Welcome to the Plant Point. We've been here for the last 6 years. It's me and my sister. And as you can tell, we love plants. The more the better. Oh my god, I'm gonna be red as well, so it's gonna be all there. We started this business 6 years ago, and it was really more of my sister's dream than mine to have so many plants. We grew up with plants. We've always had plants at home. My mom was surrounded by plants, and we've always had it there. Dad would also love gardening and outdoor gardening. He would take part in gardening competitions and things like this, so it was always somewhere there. And I guess we've run out of space at home, so we wanted to extend. What we try to do in the Plant Point is to make sure that we have a selection. So whenever you'll come here, you'll always see that we have a range of plants growing from very traditional and old school, almost cheese plants, to some unusual epipremnums, palms. We love to show you some different varieties and plants that people might not have seen before. One of the very unusual plants that you might see is something like a lipstick plant, Escianthus, native to Southeast Asia, and they are very, very, very cool plants. But then at the same time, plants like little purple Ganura, which are just unbelievably pretty and cute. You'll have a huge variety here, from small, which you just seen, to big and even bigger. And this is going to be something that we'll always try to have. So the idea is that any time you come to the Plant Point, you'll find something for yourself. We also love, and I think this is one of my absolute ultimate favorite plants, or family of plants, cacti and succulents. And again, the selections will vary of what is available. Unfortunately, at the moment, we are fighting slightly against the bureaucracy and some problems with imports, and so not as often the selection isn't quite there, but yet we will still be able to bring some beauties such as the variegated cacti, or any other things like very, very common sedums or Haphorthias. I love these, they are just so cute. And that looks brilliant. We will also try to make some of these into certain arrangements so that you can buy it as a present, so it's not just for yourself, but this is already sort of planted in here. It's going to be tricky with the glass. And a couple of others, some bigger ones that are too heavy for me to lift. So we have some close-ups on that one, maybe later. I'm just looking around here, just what we find in here, some unusual things. Like, for example, a huge staghorn fern. This is going to grow into a massive plant. They are brilliant. So I like to think that people will be able to find something for themselves. We can move to the other side of the table, where we can also, actually maybe we'll do that in a second, then I'll tidy this up, that will look a lot nicer. I can imagine you'll cut this in, right? So, yeah, because we also do soil, but there's no labels in here, can't believe it. Because this is actually what we also do. We make our own soil, and we also show you and explain to you how different types of soil can work and benefit other plants. We also explain you a couple of different things in terms of how to use it, how to water it. We also sell you different substrates, so potentially you can mix soil for yourself. And not only that, to save a bit of the planet, we also offer you, it's very dirty, your refill station, where you can come back with the bag and refill your soil for slightly cheaper, saving me time to wrap every one of these bags. When I mentioned that we also have some big plants, we love things like this. Shall we add some to take it down? Alocasia, one of my favorites and one of the easier alocasias to grow and to look after. Alocasia regal shields. This is beautiful and has that almost glow and a shimmer. I mean, just look at the size of this leaf. It's unbelievable. They are quite a strong plant, and they actually most definitely don't need too much care and attention if you give them enough nutrition and for sure light. They will struggle in shaded areas, so they'll need some of that, ideally even some direct sun. Sorry, they are brilliant. But then you can also look at some plants like pelargoniums, which are slightly different, and they smell like lemon balm. This one smells like lemon. They are pretty cool, and they also have some healing tangerines. I don't know actually.
They look like tomatoes.
No, tomatoes have a lot bigger leaves. These a lot bigger leaves. Actually, I don't know. I think it's the smell. I don't know. We tried to bring you some rare plants. So, for example, we have in stock something like Monstera Tech constellation. On this one, some more unusual plants. It's very common, like Peperomia sacrulosa, which are just unbelievable. I mean, would you just look at that pattern? They are just brilliant. Oh, this is Sacrophylla, sorry. And then this is just a fun plant. This is Delosperma, and this is a pickle plant. I mean, would you just... How cute is this? Very cute. And very easy to look after.
And this?
Bonsai. So at the same time, we also try to bring you and show you some different plants, like miniature bonsai trees. These are very common bonsai made out using ginseng, ficus ginseng, which for sure, even especially for beginners, would be something that we would highly recommend because they are relatively easy to look after, and it's something that if you like that kind of style of plants and you know, bonsai as art of growing big things in small containers, we would also recommend to start somewhere here because they can be ever so slightly neglected, and they can be really good entry to your adventure with bonsai. Something a bit different, like for everybody, we also encourage you to, for example, if you are patient enough, I am not, but if you are, we also have a selections of seeds, which is not only great for yourself, but also as a present. And for example, let's go for it, something that they particularly dislike, coriander, and each of these piccolo seeds, you have explanation on how to grow, when, seed, and some other tips, which is really pretty cool. We sell soil for it as well as some containers, but you can also grow some of your sunflowers or marigolds, or something that did grow, for example, is wasabi rocket, which is brilliant and tasty. So these are pretty cool additions if you run out of ideas for a present for your girlfriend, for example. And we'll take you to another room, which is slightly different, and it's maybe not so much filled with plants, although still few here and there. Something that is also really cool, and we maybe not mentioned, we also carry air plants. Air plants are brilliant. Air plants, people are always quite baffled about what air plants are, and air plants are these magnificent creatures that attach themselves to trees, grow in humid countries, and they would feed off the nutrition and of the minerals that are in the water that is in humid countries.
So that's living?
That's living, yes. Everything, apart from one thing I'll show you in a second, everything in our shop that is remotely green, grey or different shades is alive, yes. So this is alive. If we talking about, this one is called the Spanish moss, Tillandsia. Tillandsias are brilliant. I'll show you, if we on the subject of air plants, I'll show you a couple of more. They are just sitting here. By the way, this is as real as it gets, guys. I wasn't prepared for this. So this is Xerographica, one of my ultimate favorite air plants. And they are pretty cool, and as mentioned, they do not have roots, so they do not require soil to grow. In terms of the care, you would either mist these regularly, frequently. In the warmer months, we also actually suggest to drop these in a bowl of water and potentially have it soaking for 20 minutes or so. They will require plenty of light, and as a tip, they do not like to be cold and wet, so hold off on the soaking in the winter, potentially mist these. A couple of different ones in here. This is really cool because this is also how they propagate. So you have your air plant, and then here on the bottom you'll have babies. These will grow eventually bigger, and you can deattach it, so they're pretty cool for that as well. Plenty different air plant holders where you can display these in a really cool funky ways, so they're pretty cool. But I guess since we're here, let's go, and you can see some of these here that are bottom, little tiny musariums. I'm thinking let's go and have a look at what we have in the other room. That's my sister. You've got some flower on your hair. Yeah, it's from the plant. Oh, this is the lipstick plant. You can cut that in. So because when lipstick plants flower, I mentioned this before, how cool these are. So when lipstick plants flower, that's why they call the lipstick plant Ascianthus, is because when the leaves are coming, the flowers are coming out from these burgundy tubes, they look like a lipstick. They do flower regularly, so it is actually quite an easy plant. So if you do like these, they can get them to flower quite frequently. They are pretty cool. And I guess that takes us to a bit of another section, which is terrariums and our terrarium world. Terrariums are nothing else but your tropical, let's say, gardens that are captured, closed in these jars, and is the magical ones, because the plants simply grow in there, the moss grows in there, and there isn't much care with these, because as you can see in here particularly, we do get some sun coming through in the morning, so they are getting quite condensed, so we have to control it slightly. At home it wouldn't happen as heavily, and the condensation brings that moisture into that ecosystem, and it continuously going.
So how do you keep them alive?
They do it themselves, because when my sister makes all of these, and when she makes them, the soil is nutritious, and the soil and the plants and the moss is moist when she puts it in there, and once it's in there, the seal stops that soil from drying out, so it doesn't dry out, so you don't have to water it.
Really?
And then, as you can see, the water that sort of gathers on the side on certain times of the year potentially adds some of that moisture into there. And then you have little pretty things, like for example, I don't know if this is gonna work, if not we'll just replace the batteries, where, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. I don't know if that. Yeah, these have little LED lights built in, so these are little steps inside. And so this is a bit of our range. Unfortunately, my sister's been on holidays, so this has not been filled. This is how real this is. We also give you the option of buying a kit where you can make one yourself. There's larger ones or small ones, and again, we also here in the shop offer at least once a month terrarium classes where we show you how to do all of these, and we'll give you some tips and tricks and some secrets, but that's a paid event, so on that one you have to check out the website. There's something also pretty cool in here that people are quite mesmerized, and I think the world is kind of divided on what they think to these. And these are what we call the moss frames, made, as I said to you before, everything in our shop is alive but one thing, and it's this preserved moss. This moss is real. You have different types of moss in here. This moss is real, but it is not alive anymore. in our conditions here in our country, you would not be able to keep these alive for that long outside very controlled environment. And so we buy preserved moss that is dried, preserved in a technique that gives you, when you touch it, gives you the feeling of real moss, and most definitely look. And we mount this to the frames, all different surfaces. So like cork, for example, if somebody wants to add some custom designs, and it can grow, or it can be in your bathroom that doesn't have a window, yet you want to introduce some greenery in there. Pretty cool for that. Keep it away from direct sun, and unless that bathroom is extremely humid, also not necessarily ideal for it, but some neutral conditions, that'll be something that is also really, really cool. And the moss can come in different shapes and sizes and colors as well. We obviously choose more natural colors. This is the reindeer moss in here as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, they're pretty cool for that. What else do we have in here? Beautiful. This is a banana musaina. Yes, it arrived to us the other day, and it lost a few leaves upon delivery, and it needs to be repotted. So at the moment it's standing over there to have some maintenance. We do try to give you guys also the best quality of plants. It's not something that comes to us easily. We want to make sure that when the plants come to you, they're also in the best condition. So I would never be able to imagine when the plant comes to me and it is fragile and not very stable, you buying it. No, we prefer to keep it here for a few weeks to make sure that it is all healthy and great.
So do they grow all year round?
Bananas, yes, in here, bananas indoors, they will grow all year round. It is sometimes, I have seen it, people do grow them outside, or then for the winter they almost like chop them off, and then the bananas do regrow in the spring. They can grow quite fast. It's a plant that is very thirsty, so do water it frequently. But yes, bananas in here indoors can grow all year round. Outdoor, different rules will apply, obviously, and say different care, which I don't want to confuse you with. Oh, this is one of my favorite plants. Hoya linaris Hoya family is overall one of my favorites, and Hoya linaris is actually one of the smaller ones that we have in here. Such an easy plant, propagates very, very easily, and can be very forgiving. So if you're one of those people, like myself, for example, that sometimes can be easily distracted by work most of the time, and doesn't have as much time for watering, Hoyas are the family of plants most likely for you. But also the fern-leaf cactus. I mean, look at this guy. Fern-leaf cactus is that family of plants which also can be sort of neglected, which is one of my favorites, as you can imagine. So these can grow up to 2 meters long, and they'll get wider. Keep it in a nice and bright area, and have it watered only every now and then. Philodendron xanadu, that's one of my sister's favorite plants. These giants, as you can see, are also slightly differently styled. It's not your typical plant. You can see these are the stems that the plants grow into, and once they grow taller, you can remove some of these. That stalk can actually grow a lot taller than it is. So this one is, you can almost call it your little different bonsai style arrangement. They're also very forgiving plants. They don't like to be overwatered, although they will thrive in warm and bright areas. But how can we forget asparagus ferns? Asparagus ferns are when I talk to people, and when we talk about ferns can be people bit of a nemesis. This is not your typical fern. They actually are quite robust plants. I actually have mine in my conservatory that is not heated during the winter, and it is surviving there, which it was a plant that wasn't doing very well. I've left it in there, and then it adapted to those conditions, and it's been there for the last few years, which is it's just bizarre. It just doesn't happen. Some would say, but it did. It does, and it's growing. They don't actually like the shaded areas. They like plenty of light, and I always feel like these give you these foresty vibes. These quite dense leaves. I love it. They do climb as well, so they can grow very, very tall. We had one climbing up all the way to the ceiling here, and eventually had to cut it down because it was just taking over the space, which was a bit too much. That's that, I guess. I don't know. There's
And that's the tall one then?
the Christmas tree. So the tall one up there, again, as you can see, with some yellowing leaves, it's in a bit of a recovery mode. Araucaria, also known as the island pine, again, is one of my sister's ultimate and favorite plants. They are brilliant. They are your forever growing Christmas tree. You know, you buy it 1 year and then it's an investment. You never have to get another Christmas tree. But yes, Araucarias are plants that can actually do grow quite well indoors. They will struggle with the temperature in the winter in here, so I would most definitely, unless you have some sort of like a sheltered garden or something like this, but Araucaria like to be in a bright area. They'll struggle in the darker corners, and they prefer to stay quite moist, so you would have to also water these quite regularly.
Do you miss your plants when you sell them or?
So we in the plant point, and actually none of my staff, I'm thinking to make sure that I'm not making this up, but no, we don't. I don't miss my plants. My sister doesn't miss her plants, and we, as a general sort of rule, don't miss our plants. And I'll tell you why. There is one plant that I missed, which is very strange, but I find that it's growing. And by the way, because we don't miss plants, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing to do. You know, over the years that we've done this, I have customers coming to us and telling me that this is what they do, and it works for them. This is what they do not do. Or between me and my sister is 3 miles apart, and there will be certain plants that we'll look after in a different way. We all have different houses. We all have slightly different temperatures and slightly different humidity inside. And then depending where that plant lives. The reason why we don't mist our plants is, number one, we often use tap water. And tap water for plants is not ideal, particularly if you live somewhere like big cities, centers, or big cities where it's hard tap water, and that can burn and affect the leaves. It's not pure and it can burn it. So if you have plants like anthuriums, for example, where potentially the leaves are a bit more velvety, or like the alocasia that I showed you before, where the leaves are a bit more velvety, when you mist it, that sparks can't burn it. Number two, people say you mist your plants for the humidity. Well, but if we go on with that thinking process, humidity is when there is moisture. So once you mist your plants, and it's very warm, for example, like it's going to be tomorrow, that water will evaporate within 10 minutes. Once that water evaporates, there is no water, and that equals no moisture. So unless you mist it 3, 4, 5 times a day, unless you have grouped plants, but I do have few customers and they do mist their plants and they do like it. And I'm all for it. If it works for you, go for it. We don't as such do it. And like I said, I'm not saying that this is wrong, bad or not bad. You know, I grew up with my mom having plants in some dirt, soil that was not suitable for the cheese plant that she's had or different bucket that she's had. Yet they were growing like crazy. They have adapted there, and so the same with misting. The other thing with misting sometimes is that some of your plants, when they grow new leaves, they open as little tuber. Before they reopen, they're like little tubes, and if the water gets in there, it can damage the leaf before it even opens. So this is why if we, for example, don't mist the plants. The other day I had a conversation with somebody who said to me that the plant is not doing very well, and so obviously my first question is, do you feed it? Did you repot it? How long have you had it? And how much do you water it? And the person said, I just missed it. So instead of watering the plant, the dude was misting it onto the soil. So I said to him, so how much do you water your plant? And he said, well, I don't know, like I'm misting it. You can't gauge how much is that. So then do you actually water your plant, or do you just give it some sprinkle of water? So, you know, if you're thirsty, I'll give you a spoon of water. So, but I think everybody should do the research, or everybody should learn from not necessarily the mistakes, but see what works for you. And what I mentioned at the beginning is there is one plant that I missed, which is very strange, and I don't even remember it as often as maybe I should, is your typical old school jade plant, Crassula vata. It's the money tree, and it's fine that it stimulates the plants, the leaves to grow on top of the stems, and I find it quite mesmerizing. But again, it's not something that I as such recommend. We all have to find a style of plants that we like, and I also often say to people that it is all great to have all of these plants at home, but it's also difficult work. It's tiring and it can be daunting. Find the plants that work for you, that they work for your lifestyle, that they work with you and with the space that you have. It is fun, you learn a lot, you also find it very satisfying when you find the plant, you bring it home, it's all going well, and then even you have some troubleshooting and the plant is not looking great. The one time when you are the most satisfied is when you would bring the plant back to life, and that's really cool. So the conclusion is go, try, have fun, and smile.